The SLP coin has been consistently going downwards, crashing and burning, going from 35 cents per coin all the way down to 6 cents. But with today's breeding fee adjustments from Axie Infinity, that might just change. Hello and welcome guys, it's Axie, and today there is a new release on the breeding mechanics in Axie Infinity, which has caused a pretty big spike, going from 6 cents per coin for SLP all the way to 9 cents per coin, which is a 50% increase in the matter of about 2 hours. Now obviously there's a little bit of a correction right now, but that has been very helpful and it is what the community has been waiting for. So we will break down the update and see what we can find and what the plans are from the developers. There's a couple of things that I will be focusing on when reading this, is how they communicate with the community and what the plans are for the future, as well as try and make it as clear as I can for you guys how it will affect the SLP price potentially. Obviously I don't have any access to the data that they possess, so I will try to make my best guess on where this is all going and how hopeful Axie Infinity is for the future, as we have seen a bit of negativity over the last couple of months. So breeding fee adjustments and Axie economics, that's the name of the article, and we can see breeding fee update. In 24 hours we will update Axie breeding fee, so it is still not live as this article has been released 7 hours ago, so it will be live in about 16 hours. The AXS cost per breed has been reduced from 2 to 1, so they are reducing the AXS. So what does that mean for the investors? The AXS is the governance token, so the only way that AXS is currently increasing in value is through the market fee as well as the breeding fee. So that has been halved, which is probably not a good thing for the governance people, but there's still a lot of volume in the market, so that should not be a worry. And the SLP cost per breed has been increased. We will go through the details of how that looks in just a second, and in 24 hours that will be live. So the first breed used to be 150 SLP, now it is 600 SLP, and the last breed used to be 3,150 SLP, and now it is 10,000 SLP. So that's a pretty big change. And what does that mean? That means there's going to be a lot more SLP burning when it comes to breeding. Now SLP is needed to create more Axies, and more Axies are needed if more players want to come into the game, because they need 3 Axies to start playing. Now the requirement might change in the future, but that's how it is now. You need SLP in the system, you need Axies in the system for new players to come and join the game. The cost here is the total cost per breed. The first breed requires 300 SLP per parent. Diving deeper into the article, we can see that the growth of Axie Infinity community has been incredible, and they're thanking us. We value community commitment. Some of you have voiced confusion, worry, and even frustration with the current volatility of the economy. That frustration was very visible in the Discord channels as well as Twitter. I really didn't get in on the act. I was still hopeful for Axie Infinity to make the right moves, and I gave him the benefit of the doubt, so we'll see how this one goes. We recognize that this volatility makes it hard for our community members to value their efforts consistently. Well, with cryptocurrency, everything is not going to be consistent. It's a very volatile market. So if you're getting into a game and you're basing your future on making money from play to earn games, it's probably not a good move. So you need to be ready for the swings, just like with everything else that involves money. There's going to be some up months, there's going to be some down months, like with SLP, it used to be 40 cents, now it's 6, 9. It's gonna be changing month to month depending on the updates and on the market feelings and how people approach the game. Hopefully by the end of this update you'll better understand our occasional economic adjustments are our attempts to consistently reward skill and effort while balancing community player growth. Let's start with a couple of core Axie economic concepts. The only way SLP can be created is through gameplay. Each SLP is the result of effort and skill. Well, somewhat true. Adventure obviously doesn't require any skill or effort right now. All you have to do is click through a couple of levels and you get some SLP for your daily quest, as well as the adventure guaranteed 50 SLP. So if they want to decrease the amount of SLP created, they will probably target the adventure mode. But the rest is true that SLP is only created through gameplay on the arena battles. There is also no SLP locked outside of the system. It is only created inside of the game, and that's how it is. That's how this supply is increasing. And the only way Axie can be created is by burning SLP. Each Axie is proof that a human played Axie Infinity for a certain amount of time. That's very true. Very simple concept to understand. If you want more Axies on the market available for new players, you have to play the game, get some SLP, and then burn it through breeding. When there are new players, to Axie, sentence doesn't look too good. The only way they can play is if there are more Axies available than there are players. This means that we need to think about the future demand shocks to the Axie market and SLP when balancing the economy. Now, this is a point that I want to elaborate a little bit on, because the frustration from the last couple of months with SLP going down was because the community, the developers were not making adjustment based on community feedback to increase the SLP burn. But the concept that you really have to understand is that SLP is needed, and a lot of it is needed to create new Axies. And if they want to promote the game, and let's say they get a spike of a million users, maybe new 10 million users, now they need to be prepared for that with enough Axies on the market and enough SLP in the circulation to create those Axies. So they can't be consistently growing if there are not enough SLP in the market. So sometimes SLP needs to be minted more than it is burned. That will decrease the price of SLP, but it will be better for the sustainability of the whole project. Now you need to understand this. So they can't just keep making changes and adjustments to SLP to satisfy the current players, because it would be good if the SLP was at 50 cents per coin for all of us that are currently playing, but for new people that get into the game, it will be much harder and the growth would slow down. So that's not what you really want. You want a solution that both benefits the players right now and is also sustainable for the future. Ensuring long-term sustainability for the economy will rely on a combination of player growth, new sources of demand for Axies, and external organizations subsidizing play to earn by sponsoring leaderboards, season tournaments, and more. So they're probably gonna do something like they did in the earlier seasons, where they get another project, let's say whatever, USDT, and then you get rewarded on the leaderboard by playing and earning USDT if you place in, let's say, the top 1000, or maybe they're gonna drop in arena or an adventure mode when you complete some level. So that's something that I might want to explore. If you're interested in diving deeper into our economic model, take a look at these two articles. Now I've kind of covered those two articles in the video that I go through white paper of Axie Infinity, so you can check that video out. There should be a link somewhere in the description. And the Axie economy needs to be balanced by rewarding everyone's immediate efforts while supporting a long-term plan for community growth. Basically what I've just explained in the previous point, you need to take care of the players that are playing right now, but you also need to have a sustainable plan for the long term for the new players that will be coming in. There are some considerations that can be hard for some of our community members to grasp, especially if they only recently started the Axie journey. Very, very true. Well, it comes down to the mindset of many players. They see that SLP is rising, they jump in on the game, they get a scholarship, they want to make money and cash it out as soon as they can. Maybe they need it immediately, that's understandable, but with crypto you need to understand there's volatility and not everything is gonna happen immediately. You need to be invested for the long term. Sometimes you're gonna need to hold your SLP for a given period of time before you can cash it for a decent price. Many players that are new to Axie have expectations of the in-game economy that are unrealistic and would not be conducive to long-term growth. That's very true. We have seen it in the frustrations over Twitter. People were coming up with all sorts of different and probably not the best ideas to improve the SLP burn, but it's just not sustainable. People want their SLP that they are holding to increase in value, but that wouldn't be beneficial to the whole project. Thanks in advance for understanding as we learn together how to balance the economy in both the short and long term. Now that's understandable. That's why I'm giving those people benefit of the doubt, because if you are making an esports game, and I'm not saying Axie Infinity is an esports game or that it can be compared to those games, but let's say you're making an esports game, all you have to do is balance the game itself. But when you have a project like Axie Infinity, you need to balance the game itself, you also need to balance the SLP economy, and you also need to balance the AXS token, which is the governance token, so the investors are happy as well. So there's a lot of things that they have to juggle at once, a lot of balls that they have to juggle at once, and it is not an easy task to achieve. So I personally know that it can take a lot of time to understand those things and find the perfect balance, and maybe perfect balance will never be achieved, but they want to go as close as possible, and it can take time to understand all of the data that they have and what is the best solution without sacrificing either the short term or the long term. So just remember that, guys, not every solution will have all of those considerations in mind. So it can take some time, and it is probably the reason why they have adjusted the breeding mechanics, because they need to do something, but they don't want to make any rash decisions. Axie growth is cyclical, which means we need to take into account both current and future demand for Axies when we make economic adjustments. This is best presented, I believe, in July when they hit 1 million Axies and the whole system just started burning because the servers were not ready for a spike of new players. While our veterans have seen these cycles many times before, such as Axie price dropping from 0.1 ETH to 0.002 ETH in 2019, it can be a bit unnerving for our new players. It's best shown on the graph on CoinMarketCap. If you go into the old section, you can see that SLP and Axie price is cyclical or cyclical, not sure how to pronounce it, and you can see those little spikes and dips. They happen all the time. You can see one giant spike here at the end of April, I believe, when every altcoin was at the all-time high, and then it goes down, spikes back up, and you see all of those spikes. Now those spikes are based on how many new players are coming into the game, how much SLP is burned, and how much SLP is minted at any given time. So whenever they make an adjustment, with breeding, burning the SLP, or with promoting the game, you will see the SLP price changing. Like you see today, it went from 6 cents to 9 cents. So some probably will cash out and will be very happy with that news. And with the new breeding mechanic, the price should, in theory, increase. We will see how it plays out. Our growth projections for 2022 suggest that we will require tens of millions of Axies for the future onboarding rush that we expect with the launch of Ronin Exchange. Now, Ronin Exchange is the biggest project that they have coming up, and it is the most exciting, and that one will probably increase the SLP price by a lot. And Battles V2. Historically, whenever we launch features that have reduced friction and increased utility for Axies, we've seen a surge of breeding to account for the increased demand from Axies from both new players and veterans. Now that's a very important point that you need to understand. Last time they have released Ronin, that was a very big spike in new users, and now they want to release Ronin Exchange. So they want to make it easier for people to get in the game, and they want to make it easier to cash out the money that you earn without paying a ridiculous fee. Now, if they release Ronin Exchange right now, it probably wouldn't be a good move because the servers are not ready, there's not enough Axies in the market, there's not enough SLP in circulation. So they have to wait it out, they have to have the project ready, and then once there is enough SLP and enough Axies on the market, then they can release. Because imagine people get excited for Ronin Exchange, you want to buy your Axies, and there's just simply not enough Axies to go about. So with this change in the breeding mechanics, there should be a lot more Axies being made with SLP, and the SLP should burn, increasing the price, and then they can release Ronin Exchange. That's my way of understanding it. They just want to be prepared for a surge of new people, like we have explained before. If we don't have enough SLP to meet this upcoming surge in demand, we will have a situation where the price of SLP surges very high initially to meet the demand, but then crashes back down as growth normalizes and more SLP is created by players. Basically what I have explained just now. If they are not ready, now you can see SLP maybe even reaching 50 cents per coin, but that will not be sustainable. One could even argue that SLP issuance was too low in the pre-Ronin era, This created a massive surge in SLP price that was short-lived and ultimately caused unrealistic expectations around the Axie economy. All of that said, we don't want this growth planning to disrupt your current efforts. We've been looking at data around Axie breeding economy for weeks now, and this is what we have observed. Actual historical data, and you can see the SLP supply rising and rising, and they want it to rise because they want more players playing the game. Minted and burned, well, you can see minted is outperforming the burn, but they need that because they need more SLP in circulation. Growth, while still strong, has been slowing down due to concerns over an imbalance in the amount of SLP minted versus burnt per day. Volatility in the AXS and SLP price has caused large fluctuations in the breeding fee. AXS as a portion of breeding fee has inflated, which has taken away from SLP's utility within our economy. AXS is now over 80% of the breeding fee. So you can see why this breeding mechanic change is very important, because SLP had pretty much no utility. AXS was the main breeding token. Now if you want to breed an Axie, let's say you bought just 2 Aquas, you want to breed them, see what comes out, what you need to do is buy SLP, and that will be the main utility token for breeding. So now SLP has a real purpose within the economy. Today's breeding fee change come as a result of these observations. We know many of you are excited about this change. We are still early in our journey, but we are learning every day. While we are currently making these changes manually, long term we'd like to outsource management of the economy either to intelligent machines or informed members of the Axie community. We hope to ultimately implement an auto-balancing system that will adjust the AXS and SLP portions of the breeding fee to be both stable and dollar fiat terms and in relations to each other. This is a bit harder technically, but something that we hope to roll out in the future. Now that's very smart. I'm actually interested in seeing that in the future, because the last change in breeding fee, I'm not sure when it was either July or August, I can't really remember, but because AXS and SLP prices are always fluctuating, the breeding fee will not be stable in terms of dollars. So let's say today your first breed might cost, I don't know, $100. In a month that might be $80, that might be $200. You just never know, so we need to auto adjust to have it stable. So that's a very, very important point, and I'm really happy that they mentioned it. At least for now, as we experiment with creating a new digital economy, more active management from Sky Mavis may be required. So just to close out this video, you can see that there has been some SLP breeding fee changes which added a utility for the SLP coin. But what I'm really happy about, and what you should guys be looking forward to, is that they have communicated with us effectively. Now everyone is interested in the changes that Axie is making. Everyone will click on this article and see that SLP cost has increased, but this is your time to communicate with your community effectively, and that's exactly what they have done. They have explained their thoughts, they have explained where they are coming from, they've shown the historical data, and they are making decisions based on that data and as well as the community recommendations. So that leaves me very hopeful for the future, and I trust that Axie Infinity and Mavis Hub will make the right decisions for the economy in the long term, because I don't really care about the short term. All I care is about long term management of this project. If you guys enjoyed this video, let me know in the comment section down below what you want to see next and how you feel about those changes. Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.